0.7% here, a loss of 37 points or so. Apple shares are just getting hammered this morning.
We're down by between 3 and 4.5% generally across these markets. Let's talk about the speed with which we are watching this market deteriorate. We're red everywhere, essentially, down by 4-5%.
We're down over 16%. Dow at the same time has fallen about 18%.
We are about to witness something similar, or possibly even more outrageous. According to Robert Kiyosaki, we are at the end of an empire, at the conclusion of this era. But what does it mean?
It's toilet paper. This dollar is a function of debt.
The British Empire, with its dominance over the Seven Seas and Radio Shack, these and more have become the stuff of legend, each with their own tales of success, expansion, and eventual collapse, unable to bear the weight of their inherent contradictions. But are all empires destined to meet this fate? The question on everyone's mind, are we living through the end of an empire? We'll talk about just that. We'll examine the precarious position of the United States to assess whether the US is truly in decline. If you have the same question, then this video is your must-watch. We don't know exactly where we are in this cycle of decay or when it might hit the tipping point, but it's coming. What you're particularly good at is illustrating how the gradual buildup leads to a sudden, all-encompassing collapse. None of us know when that all-at-once moment will arrive, perhaps on a quiet Sunday night. If you're not prepared, not just with gold and silver, but in every way, it could be a profoundly unsettling experience. Kiyosaki isn't new to the role of economic soothsayer. He accurately predicted the seismic waves of the 2008 financial crisis. Now, with a sense of déjà vu, he's back on the front lines, warning that the stock market is on the brink of a crisis reminiscent of the 1930s.
The crash of '29 was excess speculation. What had happened was that the American economy as a whole had begun to cool starting in 1928, and the Wall Street economy disconnected from the underlying real economy and became a speculative bubble. And this fueled this speculation that just took off and took off and took off until, again, one day, somebody woke up and said, this has gone too far.
Saying the stock market is on the brink of a crisis reminiscent of the 1930s is a very bold claim, especially from a man who has a reputation for accurately predicting economic downturns. But Kiyosaki isn't just warning us about a potential crisis. He's also laying out a plan for those who want to turn that crisis into an opportunity. Last year, he surprised many by changing his mind about a certain investment. Now he's saying that if stocks and bonds crash, this investment could skyrocket in value by a staggering 50 times. Kiyosaki will also spill the beans on a new investment that he thinks could skyrocket in value during a market crash. Even though the economy might take a hit, it can be a golden opportunity for those who are prepared. Think of it like surviving a plane crash. Not everyone does, but those who do are ready. In this video, we're not just hearing warnings, we're learning how to turn chaos into cash. Kiyosaki is going to share his thoughts on the upcoming crash and show us how to invest in a way that could make you rich. So what would Kiyosaki do in this dire situation? Kiyosaki is a big fan of alternative investments. Recently, he sent shockwaves through the investment community by doubling down on his belief in gold, silver, and Bitcoin. He thinks these assets are still valuable, especially in a world where inflation is rising. He's even said that our education system is partly to blame for teaching us to think of traditional money as real. He believes that people are starting to realize that this kind of money is fake, and that's why he's not invited on CNBC anymore. He says he only invests in things that can't be printed. Like, take the dollar, for example. If you save it bit by bit over the next few years, it could potentially secure your retirement, or probably not. US dollar is on the verge of a major decline and might even lose its status as the world's major reserve currency. Kiyosaki has a knack for predicting economic trends, especially when it comes to gold. He nailed it when he said gold would hit $2,100 an ounce, and now it's trading way higher than that. It's clear that Kiyosaki knows his stuff. This gold thing has made people sit up and take notice of his other ideas about the economy. He thinks we're in for a big storm, with inflation going up and living standards going down. He's warning people to get out of traditional money and invest in something more solid. Kiyosaki's a big fan of gold and silver, and he also likes cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. He thinks they're a game changer for the financial world. Not everyone agrees with Kiyosaki, but he's got a lot of followers who trust his judgment. And with the economy being so crazy, more and more people are listening to what he has to say. And Kiyosaki doesn't mince words. He thinks that the average person who sticks to traditional savings is missing out. He's calling this a wake-up call, and he wants people to take action. So what does Kiyosaki suggest? Well, gold, silver, and Bitcoin. To Kiyosaki, these assets are more than just investment choices. They are a lifeline in the face of a turbulent economic future. His clarion call echoes through the digital corridors of Twitter, reaching 2.4 million followers, as he urges them not to be mere spectators in a financial system he views as corrupt and led by untrustworthy leaders. Kiyosaki's stance goes beyond precious metals. He is also a vocal supporter of Bitcoin, championing it as a bulwark against economic uncertainty. Today, we have an authority on gold, so pay very close attention, Kiyosaki says. Gold and silver are real money. I also own Bitcoin, because Bitcoin represents people's money. Gold and silver are God's money. God put them here. I'm not selling religion, but Bitcoin is a response to the insanity running our financial systems. The central bank is Marxist, controlling the centralized banking system, which is why Bitcoin emerged. Bitcoin is as capitalist as fiat assets become increasingly precarious. Kiyosaki advocates for a shift toward the decentralized and finite nature of cryptocurrencies, with Bitcoin leading the charge. He boldly asserts that Bitcoin's value could soar to an astronomical $1 million if the stock and bond markets were to plummet, a scenario he envisions as a potential crash landing for the economy. But Kiyosaki doesn't just criticize from the sidelines. He takes strategic action in response to his predictions. Fueled by distrust in government policies and a belief that leaders do not have the average person's best interests at heart, Kiyosaki is actively moving his fiat assets into Bitcoin and precious metals. This move is a practical manifestation of his philosophy, which encourages individuals to take control of their financial future in an uncertain world. As the cryptocurrency landscape evolves, Kiyosaki's endorsement of Bitcoin remains prominent. Despite the daily fluctuations in its value, he views Bitcoin as a stronghold against the devaluation of traditional currencies. Currently trading above $37,000, Kiyosaki's long-term perspective shows Bitcoin's resilience. In essence, Kiyosaki's commentary is not just a series of warnings, but a call to action for those willing to challenge the status quo. It's an invitation for financial trailblazers to question the system, educate themselves, and strategically position their wealth in assets that transcend the uncertainties of the current economic landscape. Whether one agrees with his assessments or not, Kiyosaki's voice resonates as a beacon of financial empowerment, urging individuals to take control of their financial destinies in a world where change is the only constant. So let's see the most basic things you can do to save yourself from the upcoming brutal crash. Robert Kiyosaki's warning of an impending economic crash is serious, but it's not a doomsday prophecy. In fact, with the right preparation, you can turn this crisis into a golden opportunity. First, diversify your investments. Gold, silver, and real estate have historically been good bets during tough times. And don't forget about cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, just like Robert said. Second, build an emergency fund. Aim for 3 to 6 months of living expenses. This will give you a safety net if things get rough. Third, reduce your debt. Pay off those high-interest credit cards and loans. Fourth, educate yourself about money. Learn different ways to invest and understand the risks involved. Fifth, try to make more money. Start a side hustle or find ways to make passive income. Sixth, build relationships with other people. Having a strong network can really help in tough times. Finally, stay informed and be ready to change your plans if needed. By following these literal simple tips, you can protect yourself from the storm and maybe even come out stronger on the other side. So, in a world where economic outlooks fluctuate like the stock market itself, Robert Kiyosaki's predictions serve as both a warning and a roadmap. Regardless of your stance on his views, one thing is clear: Kiyosaki is a formidable force in the financial arena, challenging conventional wisdom and inspiring a movement toward financial empowerment in the face of uncertainty. As the economic winds continue to shift, it may be time to heed Kiyosaki's call and consider the value of gold, silver, and Bitcoin as anchors in the storm. After all, in the financial adventure that lies ahead, a bit of foresight can go a long way.